Bit warm. Yeah, hello, welcome to my channel in TFR Wilderness, and it's the last day of the month and another bot haul for you. Yeah, quite a small haul this month. I've only got 11 items to show you, but there's some interesting bits and pieces that you might find pretty cool. So let's get on with it, let's get started. Right, the first thing that arrived was on the 6th of March, which was a Thursday, and it was a pre-order that I placed with Kapow a while back, and it was for this guy, Toyworld Bulldog. And wow. Now, I in the past counted myself as a bit of a Toyworld fanboy. Let's put this down for a second. A bit of a Toyworld fanboy because in my opening years of me being a Transformer collector, I amassed quite a lot of Toyworld figures. In fact, to this day, I've still got more Toyworld products than any other third party. And I'd like to think I had, like a metaphorical, like a Toyworld fanboy membership card, for Toyworld. Anyway. That is until I got Toyworld Coolsville, which was part of their Masterpiece line, and I bought it because, in my opinion, it looked so much like a Masterpiece version of the G1 toy, and to some extent it does. It nails the aesthetic of the G1 toy, both in car mode and in robot mode. However, then you come to transform it, and it has got one of the most horrendous transformations I've ever had the misfortune to do. And knowing me, whenever I get a toy, I don't use instructions or how-to videos on YouTube. I figure them out for myself, and I'm not joking. Toyworld Coolsville took me about an hour and a quarter to take it from robot mode to car mode, and basically, you can transform. The front of the car is like the upper torso and the arms and the head, and the back of the car is the legs. But it's the bit in the middle, the waist. The waist is made up out of like a number of hinged and hinged panels that basically fold inside and out. And then you have to sort of transform the front of the car and the back of the car, and then you have this. You have to jiggle around with the waist and then scrunch the two half of the car together, and it's absolutely horrendous. And I'm not joking. I was really put off buying any further Toyworld figures after messing with that. And it put me off the line. Then, obviously, as we know, Toyworld since then have gone through a bit of an upheaval. Now, if I've got the rumours that I've heard is that they neglected to pay some of their designers and engineers, and they quite rightly got the huff and decided to quit the company and set up shop for themselves with Zeta Toys. And when they left, as part of the severance package, Toyworld gave them use of a number of them, their older figures like Hegemon, the Coolsville, Leah, Space Racer, Prime Orion. They basically they allowed them to have the use of a bunch of their old molds, which they then reissued. But Toyworld kept hold of the constructor mould and have done countless repaints and reissues of it in different colours in order to, keep the lights on and the gears turning behind the scenes. But since then, they've had a bit of a reshuffle. They've obviously hired in a bunch of new designers and engineers, and they've changed their focus on what areas of the third-party market they're going to make toys for. They've given up on the doing Masterpiece figures, but now they're concentrating on Studio Series, Movie Masterpiece, and Legends. And I'm looking at these new products that they're bringing out, and I'm just like, Toyworld, take my money. And this is the first of their new order Toyworld figures that I've bought, and it's just amazing. I mean, I'm not joking. All the Toyworld figures I've got, this is leagues above anything else I've got from there. It just knocks everything else they've done up to now into a cocked hat. I mean, everything about this, the aesthetic, the engineering, the paint apps, the transformation, it's just amazing. I mean, you just got to look. Come on, focus. I mean, you look at his head. I mean, he's got like a moustache and a monocle, and he's wearing a captain's hat. And the paintwork on this. I mean, this figure is blathered in paint. You know, it's got a wash on it. You know, makes it look rusty and dirty, and it's just amazing. And you get alternate heads. You get like a different head that's like a gas mask. You can get a gas mask you can put over this. You can take his hat off, and there's a tin helmet you can give him. I mean, yeah, he's got these Digistruct legs which are a bit awkward to transform, but this thing's amazing. It's a work of art. It really is. It's awesome. Now, I've watched a couple of reviews on this. I mean, Ben Collectibles did a review on this, and he was whinging and moaning, oh, it doesn't fit in with the Studio Series figures, and it doesn't fit in with the Movie Masterpiece figures. And I don't care about that. I don't care. I just want a figure that turns into a Mark I First World War tank. And that's what this does. And it comes at that sort of like block paving, you know, that paving area they can use as a little stand to put it on. And you know, I paid about like 45-50 quid for it. It's amazing. And I'm surprised Mr. Bobby Skullface hasn't done a review on this, being that he's got such a fetish for paint work. This thing's absolutely blathered in paint. So why hasn't he reviewed it yet? I just don't understand. But anyway, first bot of the month, and wow, I'm blown away by it. And it is easily the best bot I've got, one of the best bots I've got this year. So it's a shoe-in. It's a shoe-in for top bot of the month. However, there are a couple of figures that are, you know, outstanding, you know, pre-orders that could come in that might usurp this guy's position as the best bot of the month, but we'll just have to wait and see about that. So that was the first thing that arrived. Yeah. Then the next thing from eBay, from a Chinese seller. Fans Toys Sever FT06. Now, I've decided I finally want to get hold of some Masterpiece Dinobots, but I'm doing the whole mix and match thing. I'm not buying them all from one particular manufacturer. I'm buying each Dinobot from a different manufacturer, and it is possible to have all 5 Dinobots from 5 different manufacturers. And I already got, I already had the Swoop, and well, I've effectively got 2 Grimlocks, but I've got 2 Grimlocks and a Swoop. And then I got my Sludge figure the other month when I got the Gigapower Sludge, and I thought, Snarl, yeah, it's got to be Fans Toys Sever. Now, when this guy first came out, I was really impressed with it. I thought it looked amazing in the pictures. It absolutely nailed the G1 aesthetic. It looked incredible, and I thought, well, I'd love to have that, but I wasn't in the market for, you know, Masterpiece Dinobots, so I thought, well, I'm never going to own one of these. But of course, now I've sort of come around to thinking maybe I do want some Masterpiece Dinobots, and yeah, this guy was on my shopping list. This guy seems to be readily available. There's a lot of Chinese sellers selling it, and you can get it off AliExpress for around about 120, 130 quid. That's basically, I'll pay just under 130 quid for this. But, you know, he's absolutely amazing. He's heavy, he's solid, he's, you know, die cast, lots of blinging chrome. Amazing figure, absolutely amazing. So yeah, got hold of him. He arrived on the 11th, and then on the 12th, another figure arrived. Now, this is going right back to the early days of third party, and Mastermind Creations, when they first started out, they did these what they called Night Morpher figures, which was third party renditions of the characters from the IDW Hearts of Steel comic, which was like it was like during the American Industrial Revolution. And all the robots have a steampunk theme, and I've got one of the figures. I've got the Shockwave that turns into the Confederate gunboat, and he looks absolutely amazing. But I've been thinking about getting a few more of these. Obviously, I recently got that Bumblebee. That's, you know, from the Hot Soldiers line, which turns into Hearts of Steel Bumblebee. I've got that as well, so you could count that, even though it's not Mastermind Creations. But Mastermind Creations did a handful of figures for this line. They didn't do all the characters. They only did Optimus Prime, Shockwave, and the Seekers. So they did the Seekers, and I've been thinking about getting one of the Seeker molds because they're quite unusual, and obviously my Seeker of choice is Thundercracker. So I got me Mastermind Creations Night Morpher Stormer. So I've got him in his alt mode. I mean, look at this thing. Now, this alt mode, I mean, it's based in, you know, the American Industrial Revolution, and when you think about it, you think about the dawn of flight, you know, the Wright brothers and all that, and early aviators, they designed some really outlandish planes because they didn't really know much about the aerodynamics, the science of aerodynamics. So their idea of to make a plane fly better was to put more wings on it. You know, you got these planes with like double decker, triple decker, quadruple decker. You know, with like 12 decks of wings and an engine and a tail. You know, and yeah, let's call that a plane. And I think that's what this thing's supposed to be homaging, some of those early pioneers of flight type aircraft. It's so spiky though. I mean, it's got spiky bits all over it. It's got, you know, sort of bat wings, propellers, and you can tell this thing is a early third-party figure because the aesthetic and the engineering on it is a little bit, you know, old school, you know, last century, if there is such a thing. It shows how far third-party products have come along since, you know, Mastermind Creations, you know, did this, because this is one of the first figures that Mastermind Creations ever did. But I wanted one, and I noticed there was some guy flogging them on eBay for about 45 quid, and I thought, yeah, all right, I'll have some of that. So yeah, and also I'd like to get what I refer to as the holy trinity of early third-party Seeker molds. Now this is one of them, the Mastermind Creations Night Morpher. There's then the Impossible Toys Tetrajet, and then there's the iGear Raptors. I'd like to get, you know, iGear Raptor Thundercracker and the Tetrajet Impossible Toys Thundercracker as well. The Raptors, horrendously expensive, especially, well, you can get the cone heads quite cheaply, but the original Raptors, they go for, you know, stupid scalper money. But I've got this guy, and he's pretty outrageous, to be honest. The bot's pretty cool, but you know, like I said, the alt mode's where it's at with this guy. You know, I kind of bought it for novelty value more than anything else, but definitely it was on my to-do list of figures that I quite might like to own, and one came up at eBay at the right price, so yeah, I went for it. So yeah, Mastermind Creations Night Morpher Stormer. And that arrived on the 12th. Yeah. Right, so next, it was a Friday, the 14th, and went uptown, Spartown Comic Collections. Went to see my mate. Well, Richard's back in the game now because the last time I went up, Sid was there because Richard was on holiday. Now Richard's come back. I mean, he was thinking about leaving Comic Connections at Banbury, but I think they've managed to coax him back and get him to stay on. So Richard's back in the frame, which is good because, you know, I really get on with Richard quite well. And got Transformers issue number 7, and it comes with a set of the trading cards for the trading card game. It's a booster pack. Now I don't do the Transformers TCG. I don't do the trading card game. The main reason why I don't do trading cards because I can't get my brain around the rules. The rules are so horrendously complex for these trading card games. I just can't get my head around it, and so I've got no interest in doing them. So I've got this booster pack of, you know, it's got 1 foil card plus 7 battle cards in each pack. So there's 8 cards in here. No interest to me whatsoever. But the one thing I will say, I mean, it actually came, because if you see there, it's got a thing where it says, you know, free Transformers trading card game booster pack inside. Now this goes back to the earliest days of comics back in the 1980s. You know, sometimes the comics used to come with free gifts on the front. And I got it with Eagle comics that I used to collect, and some of the early issues of Transformers comics. They used to come with, you know, free gifts on the front. So yeah, this harks back to, you know, that classic time back in the 1980s when they used to do free gifts on comics. So I appreciate the gesture, even though, you know, I don't do the trading card. As for the comic, yeah, Rubble's dead. Spoiler. Yeah, that new character they introduced, he's been killed. He was basically murdered by Quake, and now it's all, you know, they're doing a post-mortem on his body, and they're trying to figure out who did it. And Bumblebee, being his mentor, is totally broken up about it. And he's decided to join the Ascenticons. Of course, the Ascenticons are full of Decepticons. Well, they're not called Decepticons yet, but and they don't appreciate Bumblebee because he used to work for the Autobot security services and blah blah blah. And there's all stuff going on. But yeah, Bumblebee looks like he's gonna go off on one. But it's a shame that they had to kill off Rubble. But I suppose he was just a mechanic to make the story work more than anything. It's a shame they had to kill him off, but there we go. So yeah, that's the comic. I got that on Friday the 14th. Now, moving on, KTRTs. First one arrived on the 15th. Carbot Mini Born. This is a reissue of the Carbot micro figures that they did a few years back. They're rehashing them. They're remolding them to take out the official license high and die marks of the cars, and they're remaking them a little bit, giving them extra paint apps and a little bit of remold. I didn't have the original version of this. I did a review of it. A lot more solid than the original ones. I mean, the original ones were floppy as anything, and the joints were awful on them. But these are nice and solid. I'm hoping they're going to do some new characters, because they're basically rehashing the old characters they did with the Micro line, the Micro series figures. And I'm hoping they're going to bring out some new characters, because there's a lot of characters that didn't get doing in the small figure scale. So I'm hoping that they're going to do some new characters in that line, but I managed to get hold of him. And the reason I bought this guy, because he was cheap. And this guy was about, how much was he? About 12, 13 quid or whatever it was. Because I went and bought a big, expensive KTRT that cost nearly 80 quid. So that's why I got this guy. He arrived on the 15th, and then a couple of days later on the 18th... INT arrived, or Iront, because I've been corrected in my spelling of his name by Mr. KR Brickbot, because it's not INT, it's Iront. It's got an A in the front, AINT or something like that. But how come in the show, when they pronounce his name, it's Iront? They don't say Iront. So yeah, there's two versions of the name. There's the one with the Iront and the Iront. I went with the one that sounds closest to how they pronounce it on the show, but it's wrong. But then again, that's what I've said about some of these Korean figures. Ambiguity in the name. The Koreans have their way of saying things, and they're open to interpretation when translating into other languages. I think that's where it comes from. But yeah, he's a big mama jamma. He's big. Decent transformer. Transforms into a big truck. I've done a review on him. He's got lots of clicky ratchets. He's big. He's heavy. He's cool, and he comes with all those little mini figures, them little mini bots. Yeah, done my review on him. He's a cool little figure. Well, cool big figure actually. He's huge. He's massive. So yeah, I got him, but he was quite expensive. He's about nearly 80 odd quid, but he's a big figure. He's got a lot of playability, especially with the little minifigure dudes that comes with him. So yeah, he was definitely worth getting, and he's quite a good figure. And that's on the 18th. Right, now this next bit. AliExpress. Now, I've bought a few items off AliExpress before, because I got my MBK Megatron down there, and what else did I get? Oh yeah, I got my my Gigapower Gravitor off there as well. So yeah, I've bought a few things, and I go on there every now and again, and I look through some of the items, and I think, I'd like to get one of these and one of those, and there's a few things I'm watching on there. And then I was looking through, and then I saw this KO of this Korean toy that I've got, and I think, I'd like to get that. And then I looked through the shop, and I picked out 3 other items. So I put in an order for 4 items, and it arrived on the 25th. Now, the first thing I got, it is a Transformer. All right, okay. There's a company called Hallmark, and Hallmark make these things called Keepsakes, and basically what they are, they're little miniature figurines with hooks on that you can use as Christmas ornaments on your Christmas tree. And the last couple of years, they've been doing a limited line of G1 figures based on the G1 toys. And they did an Optimus Prime, they've done a Megatron, they've done a Starscream. I think they did Soundwave as well. And in 2016, they did Grimlock. So this is the... Well, I'm not sure whether it's a pucker one. I think it could be a KO. But when you look on underneath, it's got copyright 2016. Where does it say? Very small writing. Hasbro, all rights reserved. And then it says it's got a crown logo, and it says HMK. Well, basically, it's got a Hallmark, stamp on it on the bottom. So I think this is one of the Hallmark keepsakes. I mean, it's got the little hook in the top where you can hook it up as a Christmas tree ornament. Now, M of Transformers and Video Games in Canada, he buys these things religiously every year because they sell them in America and Canada. Now, I've not seen them in the shops over here because Hallmark, I think over here they do card shops, for greetings cards, Christmas cards, Christmas wrapping, that sort of thing. But I've never seen these things on sale in the UK. But I noticed there was this seller on AliExpress that was doing them. I mean, I didn't pay much for this; it was less than a tenner. But the detail on it is fantastic. In fact, hang on, let's compare it quickly with the original. Right. So here's the G1 original, and here is the Hallmark. Now, as you can see, it's virtually a small, a tiny version or a half-sized version of the G1 original. Now, this figure is a static figurine. It does not move. It does not transform. I mean, I can also put it next to the WST Grimlock as well from Justy Toys, and it's a little bit bigger than that. So yeah, but it looks amazing. It looks incredible. It just nails the aesthetic of G1 Grimlock in his Dino mode. But he had it. It was very cheap, and I thought, you know what, I'd like to add that. So I added it to my my basket of these items I got from this seller off AliExpress. So I picked that thing up. Then I got this. Now this is the Kubion Bao KO of the Perfect Effects Core Magnus. Now basically this thing, what it does, it's a third-party add-on for Combiner Wars Ultra Magnus. Basically, it does away with that white cab that comes as part of his truck mode and replaces it with this. So you get a white Prime that transforms into the truck and then will slot into the Combiner Wars figure to make it a complete Ultra Magnus. Now, the original toy of this was made by Perfect Effects, and Perfect Effects, I've got a few figures from Perfect Effects, and they are, well, the design and the build quality on them is exemplary. They are awesome figures. They are amazing. Now, this is a KO of, a Perfect Effects figure, and it shows. Some of the joints aren't great. It does, the fit and finish on it isn't fantastic. When you transform into the truck mode, some bits don't quite fit. it's not fantastic. So some of the things don't clip in properly and all that stuff. But the price of this, I mean, this thing was just over 16 quid, and the Perfect Effect original currently runs at about 55, 60 quid. I've actually seen it as high as 70. But what I will say, this is a knockoff, a direct knockoff of the Perfect Effect original, and you can see the quality of the design of the Perfect Effect in the engineering on it, because it still works. It still does exactly everything that it's supposed to do. It's just let down by being made of inferior materials, and the fit and finish on it isn't as good as Perfect Effect original, but it's still got all that amazing engineering. And yeah, it fits into the Ultra Magnus. It fits into the Ultra Magnus and does away with Minimus Ambers. So Mr. Borders Dude will be quite happy to hear that. So yeah, it's a thing. I was going to try and transform it and stick it into my Ultra Magnus, but I can't be bothered now. I'm having trouble with my webcam again, cutting out. So yeah, this video's proving to be a bit of a hassle. So I want to keep going with it. So yeah. So yeah, I've got him. He's a thing. In hindsight, I would prefer to have had the original Perfect Effects figure rather than going for this. I mean, this is like a third of the price of the original. In hindsight, I would have preferred to have waited, and then maybe, hopefully, I can find one of the Perfect Effect original ones at a reasonable price and buy that instead. And I might keep my eye out in case I see one at a reasonable price. But I've got this for now, and it does work. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. And so that's the thing. I got it. But if you're thinking about getting this, I would definitely say go for the Perfect Effect original, and don't go for the Kubion Bao one, because you get what you pay for at the end of the day, and this is a KO. That's all you need to know. So that arrived, and then obviously this, the undersized KO of Miniforce X Raybot. Again, I did a review on it a couple of days ago. It's hardly anybody's watched it. I'm a bit disappointed at the viewing figures on it, and it's making me a little bit downhearted about the viewing figures on my videos, and I'm thinking, why do I bother doing reviews, because nobody watches them, and I'm thinking about giving up doing reviews. So yeah, but anyway, I got this. Again, it's slightly scaled down version of the original. The build quality is not great. They've simplified the engineering in a few places, so it's not a patch on the original. But again, it's dirt cheap to buy. And it was interesting to get this as a KO of a KTRT, just to do a comparison between the two. And that was the reason why I went for it. So I got that. And there was one other item that I ordered. It was the Junkyong Blacksmith JB02 Tactical Officer. It's basically like a headmaster. It's a third-party headmaster Soundwave. So you've got the robot mode, it transforms into the beatbox, and it turns into a headmaster of Soundwave. Now I bought this as part of this 4 items that I got from this seller, and I paid my price for them, and it's only like a little tiny thing, and I paid less than a tenner for it. But anyway, when the package arrived, it was missing out the package, and yeah, so the item was missing. I contacted the seller. The seller apologised, and he says, take out a dispute. Now, this is the first time I've had a problem with anything from AliExpress, and their dispute process is horrendously complicated. It's got so many steps, so many things you have to do in order to get your money back through AliExpress. Now I had to fill in a form, take some photographs of the parcel and the shipping label, and then I had to send it off, and then I had to open a dispute, blah blah blah, and then you have to wait for them to reply, and then they say, yeah, we agree that the item is missing, you know, we're going to put you up for a refund, and it's gone blah blah blah, and it's gone down, and they've agreed that I've won the dispute, they've agreed to give me a refund, and they said the refund is finished, but I still haven't received the money in my account. I'm still waiting for it to come through. There's no sign of it, so I don't know, because I paid on the card, so theoretically the money should go straight back onto my card, and I keep checking my my bank statement to see if the money's come back. I mean, it's only like, was it £9.48? But that's not the point. You know, I paid some money to this guy for an item which I didn't get because it got left out of the package, which it was very small, so I can see why it got left out. But it's a bit of a mare. But anyway, that's an ongoing saga. Maybe next month I'll have some resolution on that. But at the moment, yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, one of the items was missing out of the package, which was a little disappointing. But there we go. So that was that. Then okay, let's finish this video off. Only a couple of items left to go. Next, 28th, Friday the 28th. I was supposed to have gone up to see Spartown Comics and get the latest issue, issue 8 of the Transformers comic, and the first issue of this Transformers Ghostbusters crossover is out as well, and I'm supposed to have got that. But for whatever reason, there was no Spartown comic collections this week. I phoned up the shop a couple of days before because there's a particular cover that I wanted to get with my Ghostbusters comic, and they've sorted it out for me. It's the Nick Roche cover. Yeah, so I'll be picking those comics up next week. But speaking of Ghostbusters, my Ectotron arrived. So yeah, got him. Got Transformers Ghostbusters collaboration Ectotron / Ecto-1. Yeah. Now, when this thing was announced, I was drooling. You know, I said, "Oh, Hasbro, take my money!" And yeah, it's a fantastic figure. Transforms into almost a pretty much perfect likeness of the Ecto-1 car from the movie. The robot is a heavy remold of the Combiner Wars Hotspot mold, but it works really well as you know, the Cadillac hearse. And you know, he's got a proton pack, he's got a proton wand, you know, he's got the little goggles on his head, you know, the Ecto goggles. He's got Ecto-1 logo on his chest. He's got some tan that simulates the colour of the jumpsuits, but he's mostly white, obviously, because the car mode's white. And you know, he's got Ghostbuster logos on the doors. It's a fantastic figure and an awesome homage. Well, no, a crossover homage to both Ghostbusters and Transformers, and I'm really looking forward to the comic when it comes out. Well, I should have it now, but hopefully I'll get first issue next week, and I'm hoping the comic's going to be really cool. I'm hoping it will. And this is all to do with this shared anniversary that Transformers and Ghostbusters have for the 35th anniversary. Now, what I can't understand is, why did they do this on the 35th anniversary? Why didn't they do it on the 30th anniversary? Or the 20th anniversary, or the 25th anniversary? Why is the 35th anniversary so significant? Well, we don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. But I got him, and he was one of the bots that could have potentially usurped Bulldog for the best bot of the month. But we'll wait till the end of the video, and you see if he's the top man. Right. So. We're on to the last item now, and it was yesterday, Saturday the 28th. I did my usual thing, went uptown at Bury Town Centre, went and got my breakfast at the local Witherspoons, and then after I'd had my brekkie, did a lap around the Bury Town Centre, went across the bypass to the Smiths to see what they had in stock. I mean, the reason I wanted to see what you know, Smiths had in stock, because I'm off work next week, and I'm planning on doing a Coventry toy hunt, you know, in the next couple of days, maybe even tomorrow. So yeah, I've got that on the cards. But I just wanted to see what stuff Smiths had got in stock, and I went in there. Wasn't expecting to see much. They had the Galaxy, you know, the Galaxy Force, or the Cybertron Leader Class Optimus Prime in stock. So they had him, but I've got my Ultra Magnus, so I'm good with that mould. And then I looked down at the shitty stuff, and I noticed they'd got these new Cyberverse Spark Armor figures in stock, the Wave 1. And who should be sat on the front but Skybyte? Yes. So yeah, I bought Cyberverse Spark Armor Skybyte. So here he is, all tooled up with his armor on. And it comes with this little drill tank thing that you take apart and you put onto the robot mode. I mean, they're ever so easy to take off. So you've got the drill piece. You've got these two like wheel things that go onto his arms. And then you've got the main chunk, which sort of plugs into the top quite firmly. Come on, off you come. There we go. And then plug it all back together. Dead easy. And then you've got the little drill guy. And then you've got Skybyte himself. Now, you probably think, why is an adult collector like me bothering with shit like this? Well, it's Skybyte. I character mold set Skybyte. He's one of the characters that I get all the molds for. I mean, I've got got a couple of them up here. I've got the BotCon exclusive. Got the Generation Skybyte, and the Japanese original. And I've also got the third-party KFC one up in the loft somewhere. And then when I found out that Skybyte was going to be part of Cyberverse Season 2, I thought, hey, new Skybyte mold, so I've got to get them. And there's this guy, and they're also doing a one-step changer as well, which it's a one-step changer, but because it's Skybyte, I've got to get it. So, but yeah, I bought this guy. He got $15.99, and he comes with his little drill tank thing. Now, these guys, they've invented a new size class for these figures. They're called Battle Class. Now, let's do some size comparisons. Here he is next to a Legends figure, so slightly bigger than a Legends. Now, I've got an old Scout class figure, which, as you can see, it's about the same size as an old Generation Scout. And then, if you remember back to the RID series, they had these Minicon battle figures, which was the slightly bigger, well, slightly smaller figures than the Warrior, but it's about the same size as those Minicon Battle Pack RID figures. So yeah, it's it's kind of small, but it's got simple transformation. Or whatever. No, I ain't gonna do it now. It's got a fairly simple transformation. Transforms into a little shark dude, but it's good enough. Articulation's all ball joints. The head doesn't move. Ball jointed shoulders, ball jointed elbows, ball jointed hips, and hinged knees. And he's also got like a hinge on his feet. Great little figure. Again, $15.99 from Smiths. They've got the Wave 1 Spark Armor figures in at Smiths, which is Starscream, Jetfire, Skybyte, and I think there's another one. I can't remember what it is. I think there's 3 or 4 in the first wave. I might get the Cheetor one that they're doing, but I got him. So he was the last figure I got this month. So yeah, 11 items. Yeah, one of them didn't arrive because AliExpress, you know, forgot to put it in the package, and I'm still waiting for my refund on it. Now, first and worst, that thing I do at the end of every month. It was a bit tricky at one point because both the first and the worst figure have got, you know, multiple candidates for both. And the worst, it was a toss-up between these guys. Now, I decided to make this guy the worst. The reason being, even though this is a KO and it suffers from it, it's still got that engineering, that original Perfect Effect engineering on it. It still works, it still does what it's supposed to do, even though it's a dirty, filthy knockoff. So I don't hate it for that. This is also a knockoff, and it's got all those usual sufferings. But then again, this one, they didn't skimp on the engineering. It's got all the original engineering on it. This one, they simplified the engineering on it. So that's why this is my worst spot. And the first. Now the first spot is a toss-up between these two guys. And as much as I love this, it's Bulldog. So first and worst. So yeah, these are best thing I got this month, worst thing I got this month. Bulldog just blew me away completely. It's just, everything's awesome about it. I can't see any way to fault it. The Ectotron does have a few little nitpicky things, like I wish they'd have made it so that the goggles flipped up on his head, but I mean, other people are saying about that. Transformation's a bit fiddly, especially putting the blue cable back in his camo, because you have to sort of like tuck it into the cockpit of the camo when you put the backpack back on the vehicle. But it's still an awesome figure and a great crossover, but not as good as Toyworld Bulldog. He's just amazing and easily one of the best bots I've got this year. So that is my haul for this month. Hopefully this video is not too long. I don't know how long it's been because I've had to split it up into various sections because I've had hell of a game with the bloody camera cutting out again. So yeah, that's been me, TFR Wilderness. Another bot haul for you. Hope you've enjoyed it. I'll catch you all next time. Ta-da.